No matter how rational his strategy may be, no matter how sensible the desperate effort to preserve strength in the face of the sustained power of corporate capitalism, the strategy testifies to the passivity of the industrial working classes, to the degree of their integration. It testifies to the facts which the official theory so vehemently denies. Under the conditions of integration, the new political consciousness of the vital need for radical change emerges among social groups, which on objective grounds are, in parentheses, relatively free from the integrating conservative interests and aspirations, free for the radical transvaluation of values. Without losing its historical role as the basic force of transformation, the working class in the period of stabilization assumes a stabilizing conservative function, and the catalysts of transformation operate, quote unquote, from without. All right.
Okay, the catalyst of transformation operate from without under the conditions of integration. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily something that could be seen with the matching of this identity politics and saying we need to put everyone together in certain groups. But then it seems to be many of the results of these are people who are advocating and saying, oh, yeah, if those groups want to self-segregate, more power to them. Because some of this aggressiveness seems to be more about segregation than actual integration.
Yeah.
And then saying the new political consciousness for the vital need of radical change emerges among social groups which, on objective grounds, are relatively free from the integrating. So the new political consciousness. So this could be a thing. Could it be from the certain group of people that you look at many of the people that actually are very activist into these regressive woke kind of things, you look at them personally, their actual social groups, and they tend to be a lot more segregated into certain social groups than others because they say, oh, this is my lived experience. So with their lived experiences, they need to live among their peoples and things like that. I don't know how much actual integration there is with certain these groups. Like you look at some of the places where it's most active in the urban areas, and those areas really aren't really that integrated. They might think that, oh, because we have a lot of black people in New York means that me as a white person activizing in New York for black people, but because there's so many black people in New York, most of those black people can hang out with black people. Most of the white people can hang out with white people. Most of the Asian people can hang out with Asian people. Most of the Chinese people hang out with the Chinese people. Most of the people from Jamaica hang out with the people from Jamaica. Most of the people with Jewish background hang out with the people from the Jewish background, from like certain places, certain actually sects in them. So when you have that much quote unquote diversity, which is not necessarily integrated, it's more just options. And there was a different part of society where it was more like you had to act, you lived in societies where you'd actually integrate mostly on economic grounds in order to actually mesh with other people in your society. And now if a black family moves to like a small town, they can't just be like, I'm just going to hang out with black culture. I'm just going to go to the black movie theater. I'm just going to go to the black gym. I'm just going to go listen to the black owned cafeteria, the black owned restaurant. It's like, no, they'll be in a situation where it's like, hey, we're going to meet up in these places. If a black family moves somewhere and they're like, okay, I'm going to open a hardware store, people don't start and think like, oh, we don't have a hardware store. We're going to wait for the white hardware store to start. So we're not going to go to that black person's hardware store in this small town. It's like, no, they'll be like, that guy is the one who's had the hardware store, so we'll go there. And there's more of a movement to actually integrate in certain environments that I don't think necessarily exists in most urban areas where you have a lot of these actual tensions and these movements coming out of. From what I've observed with the United States of America and having lived in major cities and some very country-ass areas. Yeah.
Did you ever see that clip of the Democratic Socialists of America, the meeting, where it's like those people are woke to a point of insanity? Yeah. Like they're like, hello, I'm so and so, pronouns he, him, and then it's like, and then he's like, please keep the chatter to a minimum. I'm very easily overstimulated. It's very distracting, all this. And then I think somebody said, hey, guys, that somebody else, don't say guys, point of privilege. That's gendered language. It's like, how are you going to get anything done? You guys are offended by every single thing. It's like, how do you even accomplish anything?
Someone like, who are these people? Like, how many people actually know the people like this? And clearly there are people who do. Now, those people might not be people listening to the content that I'm making, but I'm chances are from the people who are listening to this know someone like that. I've been more of a hermit type of lifestyle, and I imagine if I really got back in touch with some of the contacts that I had from my time in the United States of America and traveling around, I would find people like that. And if I was just in a more typical job that deals with society in general, I would find some people like that. But it just seems so tiring to live that way. It's tough. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip from an actual longer recording that I'll try to leave a link to on the screen or somewhere around here where you're listening to this.
Presents. 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 Presents.
Peasants.
Okay. Okay.